of me, but they're broken dreams.
Welcome to Insights. I'm Eric. Hope everyone's having a good day today. We're going to talk about the grain market here. The grain market's been in focus because everything's moving up, and as you can see, we have corn is blasted through its highs. Wheat's still kind of struggling, may do so soon. Soybeans has moved through that high. Where do we stand? Is this looking good? To answer those questions, I think we're going to have to talk about the three time frames, how all the grains move through the evolution of the trade. We're going to keep this one open for people who are new to the matrix and new to the evolution of the trade, and people that are looking on and considering, what don't I know about the markets that I trade, invest, or produce or use. These are tough questions. This is not something that's completely simplistic. It's not put a circle peg into a circle hole. It takes a little bit more understanding, but the fact is most human beings have some sort of intelligence that once it's tapped, you're going to probably have an aha moment that says, I never thought about it this way. And in reality, markets are all markets trade like this. It's not just the corn market or soybeans. I mean, it's really everything. So let's dig into it here, and we're going to talk about the moves that we've seen. As I just mentioned, we're moved above the highs. Previous videos suggested that we were likely going to do that due to the energy build. A new energy build, which is right here, will come out. They're right here. They're going to come out on Friday. This will change the conversation a bit. We'll probably have an updated review for subscribers after that. The daily trends are continuing to move higher. They've been up for 24 days and 19 days. They're pretty much in harmony with one another. The price cycles are here, and they're starting to get extended with the exception of soybeans, which has lagged in this rally. Now, will they reach an extension similar to corn and wheat? It's possible. I mean, there's no guarantee. All we can do is watch and observe. These numbers, anything usually above 2, and that's why they're bolded red, are a warning that the cycles are stretched. But I've said before in the open videos that these cycles can get stretched to 5, 6 standard deviations or more. The limiting factor is usually time, and these are still slightly above 0. They are climbing though, and there's less flexibility in time. If you want to go watch past reviews, I did an example of how time is more important than price in trying to take profits, and I equated to a large run-up in silver. I'd go back and read that. Read as many reviews or watch as many review videos as possible. They're always accessed under the, whether they'll be the grains or you can find it in the blog under the categories. You can search categories. They're also marked by videos when there is video content. The premium content or the restricted content is usually behind a key. So click the links that are below, or it says click and enter access code, and you'll usually get the full review or the video reviews that you're looking for. So the dailies are moving up. Time is not quite extended. I think we need to focus a little bit out here on the weekly. The weeklies are starting to move, and these numbers don't go as high as the daily. And I think the concerns are coming here in the weekly. There's not a lot of flexibility in time either. But as these numbers reach and get above 2, the pressure for a correction again will materialize, and it will materialize most likely. The higher these numbers go, the more pressure there will be to go for a deeper correction. So all these numbers are not above 2 yet, and we'll highlight them to see these numbers are still floating slightly above 1 and almost 2 in soybeans. They need to go higher, and as they go higher, the pressure to pull the daily down and ultimately to try and sell a correction into the weekly is increasing. And these numbers aren't helping either because they're almost all extended except for corn. So we're watching these two move together. You're watching the price cycle here. Within the price cycle, this is the weekly, this is the daily. And we have to know where the time cycles exist between the two as well. These often trigger corrections. The composite trend, which is right here, tells us where all the cycles lie. and anything above 1 is a warning. These readings rarely go above 2. And when they're bolded red, it's telling you to stay away. I mean, you never buy a reset when this thing's bolded red. When it gets above 2, some sort of correction is coming. It's one of the reasons why you see the cycle designation is mid here and late. These are all moves that have jumped up quite a bit. Again, here's the primary trend count in terms of months, 7 and 9 months, and the returns that they've achieved. But if you're new to the party and saying it's time to chase, these numbers right here will keep you out of it. You have to wait for a reset. The deeper the reset goes, whether it's a daily reset or a weekly reset, it's got to show up here with an R designation, and these will all be highlighted yellow when they happen. I trade the grain markets as well. I follow the evolution of the trade. When a viable reset or any reset comes because of the popularity of the grain market, it will likely generate a review and a discussion, so it's probably not something that you have to figure out entirely on your own. I probably will bring it up because it will be a conversation that will interest everyone. I don't think these grain markets are just going to roll over anytime soon, but you have to play it by the numbers, and playing it by the numbers is to follow the evolution of the trade. And I would spend time reading that. It's inside the blog. You can see in the matrix banner, title, menus. I think you can click matrix, and you can go understanding the matrix, understanding the evolution of the trade. It's spend the time, read up and watch the videos. It's well worth the effort to understand how the different time frames, a price, any security is fractal in nature. There's an infinite number of time frames, really, that you can study. We break it down into 3. There can be more than this. There can be 4 or 5. And ultimately, the more that the time frames are in agreement, the faster or the more organized the trend is going to go. You're going to reach acceleration during alignments. You can also quickly recognize when a trend is within consolidation. The critical part of when we enter consolidation and profit taking usually comes in the energy columns. Again, those are all here, and they're these 3 columns that I've highlighted. And the energy builds, you can click these links and learn more about them. You can go back to the blog and learn more about them. This one's marked -70 because it's a bearish energy build, and at -40, it's gonna create a blocking dome, which is gonna slow wheat's rally down. This is going to have to be dealt with at some point, and it usually is dealt with during seasonal weakness or strength. That's over on this side of the column, but on this side of the matrix over here, past here, but I'm not going to go into it. Subscribers can look it up and see where the seasonal weakness tends to happen for wheat and where it's seasonally strong. This bearish energy build will likely have to be dealt with before you get into the seasonal strength period. These other energy builds, we'll see. We'll see how they react. Usually when the price goes up, DIs go down and create blocking domes that slow the advance. Again, a new energy build is going to come out on Friday. And if it's material, we're going to talk about it. If it's nothing, we'll probably just let it go. There's other discussions, other videos out there right now, especially for corn, that's talked about why corn was most likely going to take out this high, and how everybody was calling for a pullback here was going to be wrong. It doesn't mean that we're not going to come back and retest this, but again, it's what price does over the short term and how energy reacts to it that tells me that's either you're defining it under as accumulation or distribution. Accumulation means that the invisible hand is really buying in, and that's bullish for continuation of higher prices. Distribution either is going to slow the advance, or if you're in a downtrend, it's going to mark for continuation of the decline. So basically, that's where the setup of the grain market is. Again, keep an eye on the price cycles right here and the time cycles in the daily, as well as the weekly. And if you ever get confused, anything over 2 in bold red usually is a warning. Blue is a setup for a warning. It usually has to be bolded red. Red is the trigger right before things get bad. So this is starting to warn us that things are about ready to take a slide here. And I would suspect the grain market's going to peak out probably by July across the board. That's a guess, but that's what it's going to take. It's probably about 8 weeks away before these all start to go to 2. You combine these with the readings that are in 1 or 2 or wherever, maybe we get into mid-July. When these two start to get both bolded red, the rally is really going to slow down because you're going to be pushing on a string of time, which is way more important than price. So we'll talk about that when the time comes. If not, keep an eye on this, and if you have any questions, if you're a subscriber, contact me on the blog and write something under the video, or subscribe to the channel here as we post other things. If you're an onlooker and really do trade these markets or want to understand all sorts of markets, there's the agricultural, the bond market, here's energy, here's Forex, here's industrial, that's copper, this is I think precious metals, and these are all the equities. If you want to track these things in a professional manner, I really don't know how to advise you to do it other than to understand the fractal nature of the trends. You can spend decades learning this, or you can subscribe to the matrix and cut to the chase very quickly. So thanks for watching the video today, and keep an eye on the grain market, because I really don't think this is done yet. So, but other than that, enjoy your trading day.